For creating highlights or lightning areas, I tend to favour my trusty kneadable eraser. But what if you need to do something a little bit more aggressive? Well, there are some other options. A lot of artists favour the Tombow Mono Zero, whereas personally I tend to use the electric eraser. But which is better? Bear in mind this is purely down to personal choice, and with that said, let's start by looking at the Tombow first. These are available in the UK and are around about £5, but if you look around online you can generally find them a bit cheaper than that. Very simple to operate, push the end, out comes the eraser. This is the rounder version and the eraser is 2.3mm in diameter, but it's also available as a rectangular, which is 2.5 by 5mm. So the first thing that I notice is that it is quite small, but it does fit quite nicely in the hand. Looking at it, you might think that the eraser goes all the way up through it, but in fact if I take this out, you can see that there's just that much there. So you are going to need some refills for this. Obviously this does depend on how much you use it. This on the other hand is the electric eraser. This one comes with both 2.3 and 5mm tips, and all you literally have to do is push the button and you just let the eraser do the work. One thing that I do really like about this though is that it's USB rechargeable. Neither of these are meant for covering large areas. They're purely for creating fine detail, such as highlights in eyes, or say cleaning out something like a whisker where you want a crisper, sharper edge. So how do they both compare? What I'm going to do is apply some graphite powder to a clean piece of paper using a makeup sponge. Incidentally, the powder that I'm using for this is made from a 3B graphite block, and this produces a nice dark tone with a relatively even coverage. The first thing that I want to do is to just draw a line through it. This is to not only see how much tone these erasers will remove, but also how fine a line can be produced. So I'm going to start with the Tombow first, and I just want to run this through the tone that I've already applied to the paper. The edge of the eraser will round off and become dirty relatively quickly. So it's always a good idea when using something like this to regularly rotate it. This way you maintain a cleaner, sharper edge. You can also use this to draw out patterns and shapes from an existing tone, as well as creating highlights. With the electric eraser, you just hold the button and let it do the work. Now you can go with the direction of rotation like I'm doing here, which is quite smooth. Or now I'm doing it against the rotation, which is a little bit harsher. This is ideal for creating very small sharp highlights. And again, you can draw tone back out with it. At the moment I would say both of these have positives and negatives, depending on the type of look that you want to achieve. So let's now give these a bit more of a practical test. And what I want to do is to use them to clean out some whiskers in this picture that I'm currently working on. The whiskers have already been indented into the paper, but because of the way this type of background has to be applied, I now have to go back in and clean them out. The Tombow gives a good degree of control and accuracy, particularly on areas like this, which are incredibly fine and intricate. It does a pretty good job, but I do have to work back over the whisker a few times to really clean it out. The electric on the other hand is a little bit bulkier, but again I didn't have any problems with accuracy. But it's certainly much more aggressive when it comes to removing tone. An important thing to do with both of these erasers is to regularly clean them. You can do this on either a piece of fine sandpaper, or alternatively a piece of scrap paper will work just as well. With the Tombow, hold this at a 90-degree angle to the surface, and then just move this forwards and backwards until you have a clean, sharp edge. Exactly the same with the electric, but this time all you have to do is press the button in, and then you can just lightly press this into the surface. Alternatively, of course, you could just trim these with a blade. So both of these erasers have performed pretty well at this task. Now I am very used to using the electric one, and I still feel that it removes more tone, plus also gives me more control, particularly when creating finer details like there are in this picture. I'd also suggest, if this is the option that you want to go with, to choose one that takes the two different sizes of erasing tips. So which is better? Well, that purely depends on the type of look that you want to create. If you want more subtlety, or you just want to remove the tone slowly, then I would say the Tombow. If you want finer, sharper detail though, then definitely the electric, but both have their own place. Personally for me, I'm going to use the kneadable eraser in conjunction with the electric, but again, this is purely down to personal choice. Remember, this is only my opinion. If you do have any questions, just drop them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.